Number 13, foster your child's dependence upon you. Don't teach him to be independently responsible. Maintain his dependence on you so later on, drugs and alcohol can replace you when he's older.
Ow! That's sarcastic.
Well, so often, and some parents can do this unintentionally, wanting to provide everything for their children, and they see their identity in being their child's parent to the point where they don't know what to do if the kids are not totally dependent upon them. And if you don't teach your kid to do stuff on his own, to be independently responsible for his homework, for getting up and getting his breakfast, responsibilities around the house, ultimately he's going to look to you to do everything for him, and you're going to produce a kid who needs other people and other things to function. Guess what? When that little bird flies the nest, he's going to be looking for something else to carry him through every problem. And that can easily wind up being drugs and alcohol.
All right, number 12.
Protect him from all those meanie teachers who want to discipline him from time to time and threaten to sue them if they don't let him alone.
Whether they sue him or not, I see moms and dads wanting to jump in for everything.
That's right. They want to jump in for everything and not let their kids experience the consequences of their actions. Bad consequences are some of the very best teachers in life. If you don't let your kid reap what he sows, you're producing an artificial world for him to live in. And then when he gets out on his own, oh man, he's going to be one of those people you just don't like at all.
Sometimes you get crummy teachers. I had a few that I could actually name because I still remember, but there were a ton of good ones.
Yeah.
Sometimes a kid has to go through a year with a crummy teacher, and that's just kind of the way it works out.
That's right. And listen, we also have to remember that the real world is full of crummy people. But your kids have to learn to deal with crummy people. Don't protect them from every crummy comment or every crummy decision. Teach them how to pray for their enemies. Sit down and talk with them. Show your kids how to deal in a godly way with ungodly people.
All right, the number 11 way to make your kid a delinquent.
Make all of his decisions for him because he might make mistakes and then learn from them.
True. All right, I'm just writing it down. Number 10.
Criticize his father to him or his mother so your son or daughter will lose respect for his parents. Boy, that's so huge. Do you disrespect and criticize your spouse in front of your kids? Because if you do that, you're simply teaching your children that their mother and their father is not worthy of your respect.
In the past, I'd read one of the best things that a grandparent can do for their grandchildren is to say nice things about that grandchild's parents. So in other words, prop up mom and dad, maybe their son or their daughter. And I read that and I went, oh, that is so true. I saw it about a month ago where a grandpa was saying to the kids wonderful things about the parents. And I'm telling you, you could almost feel the effect of that.
So there you have grandparents assisting in the job of getting children to honor their parents.
I've said this before, but Kirk, I don't know what this is exactly. Maybe it's just me hallucinating. One of the rules in our house, at least that I have, is that if one of my children diss their mother, that is like the big sin in our house. And when that happens, I have found one of the most shocking things I can say to my child, if necessary with their little cheeks between my hand, is to say, don't ever speak to my wife like that. Boy, does that shock him.
It sure does. I heard a man say that to his son once. He sassed his mom, and he said to him, you listen to me. No man speaks to my wife that way.
You are now messing in adult land. Suddenly you want to be treated like, you want to say manly things, you're going to get a manly response.
Absolutely. I particularly for young boys, that's very effective. And it also rips them out of the false notion that the universe revolves around them. She's not just your mom. That's
right.
Not her identity summed up in total, that she doesn't exist outside of being your mother. Guess what? Before that, she was my wife. And she comes first.
Number 9 of the ways that you can help your child be a delinquent.
Whenever he gets into trouble, bail him out. Besides, if he faces any real consequences, it might hurt your reputation.
That's a big Ted Tripp thing. Just let the consequences do some natural work on the child. Just let it happen.
That's right. How often do we want to bail kids out because if we don't, it makes us look bad? I remember one time that my daughter, she walked out of Pep Boys, an automotive shop, and she had stolen some candy. She had taken some candy and actually stuffed it in some of her underwear and walked out of the store like a wooden soldier. And it was just embarrassing to have to talk about the fact that my daughter was a kleptomaniac. And I thought, what kind of a parent does that make me? And so often we want to hide that. We'd want to quickly put the candy back and not tell the store owner what had happened. But some of the best medicine for someone who does that is to say, you need to walk up to that store owner and tell him what you did.
Number 8.
Never let him suffer the consequences of behavior. Always step in and solve all his problems for him so he'll depend on you and run to you when the going gets tough, and never learn how to solve his own problems.
Yeah, you just raise a bunch of man boys.
Number 7, if you want to turn your child into a delinquent, let him express himself any way he feels like it. Don't run his life, let him run yours.
Miserable children.
Oh,
see them all the time.
And a miserable home. One of the things Ted Tripp says is, remember, your children are welcome members of your family. They're not the center of it. Todd, you and Mrs. Friel started a family long before the children came, and you're welcoming them into this family God has already established. And there are rules for being in this family.
Is that when I get to say, hey, you're under this roof and you'll do things the way that I say? Okay, number 6.
Don't bother him with chores. Just do everything for him. Then he can be irresponsible all his life and blame others when things don't get done right.
And grow up to be a piggy pants to boot. Number 5.
And be sure to give in when he throws a temper tantrum. Just give him and get him what he wants.
Number 4.
Believe his lies because it's too much hassle to try to sort through and get the truth.
Oh boy, that's such a nasty sin that needs to be untangled. Number 3.
Criticize others openly. Criticize others routinely so that he'll continue to realize that he's better than everyone else.
Well, that's one we got to watch out for, I'm telling you.
That's right. We're doing nothing but teaching our kids that we're always right and we're much better than other people.
Well,
that's the last thing you want to teach your kids.
Well, it's okay for us because we are, but nobody else should be doing that. Just
right.
The free. Okay, number 2.
The number 2 way to get your kids to turn out rotten is to give them a big allowance and don't make him do anything for it.
Just hand him lots of cash so that he doesn't appreciate a nickel.
That's it. And the number 1 way...
Wait a second, not so... And the number 1 way that you can help your kid be a complete, total depraved monster...
Praise him for his good looks and never for his character.
Oh, the superficial stuff.
That's right. Oh, you are just the man on the basketball court. Oh, sweetie, you are beautiful. There's nothing wrong with those things. But those are superficial things that will disappear one day. Beauty is fleeting. The old back and the old knees will eventually give out. Just ask Mr. Friel. And character is what counts.
And that's the thing that is so pleasing to God. 1 Peter 2, I do believe. Alrighty, there you have it. The 15 ways to make sure that your kid grows up to be a monster, courtesy of our own little growing pain. We got to scoot. This is Way of the Master Radio.